Hey all, you're listening to episode number 115 of the Keto Diet Podcast. Today we're chatting about the reason for going keto, the dangers of keto and how to avoid them, the products that we're using, what's best for you, what's maybe not best, and how to determine for you and your individual body, plus social media, detoxing, and so much more. Today's podcast extra and transcript can be found at healthfulpursuit.com/podcast/E115. I got one cool thing for you today, and that is I've put together a little how-to on how to lose weight on keto from a balanced perspective and also geared toward women. It outlines how hormones play a role in your weight and how to balance them out, the role stress plays on your ability to become properly fat adapted, how to know if you're eating enough versus eating too much, and so much more. You can get that free little download over at healthfulpursuit.com/weight. Okay, let's do this thing. Welcome to the Keto Diet Podcast, the show all about keto for women so you can burn fat, balance your hormones, and heal your body. From television, print, and billboard ads to social media and internet marketing, making you feel less than is a billion-dollar industry. You won't find that here. And if you're struggling to make sense of the truth that you are so much more than good enough, I'd like to help. My 21-day whole keto challenge is open for registration, and as a listener of the show, you'll receive 20% off this daily coaching program with the coupon code KETONOW at checkout. Go to healthfulpursuit.com/whole, use the code KETONOW for your 20% off. Whole Keto complements your healthy keto lifestyle so you can repair your relationship with your body and start living your joy now. If you're new around these parts, I'm Leanne Vogel. You may know me as the international best-selling author of The Keto Diet, founder of happyketobody.com, or maybe you know me as the nutritionist that likes dipping pork rinds in avocado oil mayo. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Thanks so much for listening. Our guest today is Jess, who's a health and wellness advocate, inspiring others to take back their life and well-being through a healing ketogenic lifestyle focusing on real whole foods. Jess shares her experience of weight loss and recovery for pushing past food disorders on her Instagram page, Real Food with Jess. She is passionate about helping others by helping to identify their attitude toward food and empower themselves to see their full true worth and take back control of their life and health. So we chat a little bit about food freedom, intuitive eating, and defining an eating style that works well for you and your body. And if you're like, I don't even know how to do that. If you have Fat Fueled, my digital program, which you can find at healthfulpursuit.com/shop, if you have that program already, head on over to chapter 2, which outlines the 7 days to food freedom. I continue to use this practice a lot. And that when we updated Fat Fueled last year, we put that 7-day program in Fat Fueled so you can follow along. And that can be really, really helpful for determining how to connect to your body, encouraging intuitive eating, and also help you determine what foods and lifestyle factors can contribute to your overall wellness. So without further ado, let's cut over to this interview. Hey, Jess, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Leanne?
I'm so good. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, good. Okay. So the first question I like to ask all of our guests is, what does keto mean to you?
Yeah, keto means everything to me. It means health, vitality, gaining back my relationships, my life, control. It's literally every piece of my life that is good. Keto helped me in so many different ways. And it's not just weight loss, mental health wise, dealing with depression and binge eating and all of these different things. Keto kind of gave me that hope that I could do it and that I am doing it. And it'll be okay. And I don't have to be perfect. You know, I think a lot of people are scared on so-called diet plans that they can't do it. And it kind of places them into a spot of fear. And keto kind of just helped me get out.
That's awesome. And what's your why? Like, What led you to make sustainable change? Because we're going to get into your history and experience, but what was like the thing that was like, I got to change. I got to do something about what's happening here.
Yeah. So there were a couple of things. I had a doctor's appointment and I had been having a lot of hypoglycemia symptoms. I would wake up in the morning and just feel absolutely awful. And I started having all these symptoms. So I went to the doctor and had my blood drawn and was told that I was pre-diabetic. Come to find out, as I learned more about blood sugar and all of these things, I was actually a full-blown diabetic. And this had terrified me my entire life with my birth family history and everything else. And so that trip to the doctor's office was a huge wake-up call for me. I never thought that I would be considered diabetic, as well as I had broken both of my elbows in a bicycle accident a couple of years prior to starting keto. And I had had such intense pain in my elbows, we were considering some major surgeries. And because I couldn't understand why I was still in pain and I just wanted to heal. And so those things combined, I just got sick of it and woke up one day and said, you know what? Today's the day. I didn't eat any carbs for breakfast. Let's keep this going.
Wow, that's so cool. And you studied nutrition, correct?
I am currently studying nutrition. So yeah, I have a background in medical assisting and I've worked in different parts of the medical field, but never had kind of a formal training. And I've done a lot of research on my own. And I have some really close friends who are mentors of mine who have really given me a lot of great education over the last few years since I started.
That's awesome. Back to today's episode in a sec. We've chatted on the podcast before about cleansing and detoxification on a ketogenic diet. And a lot of people have been asking me if I test positive for having a bunch of metals in my body, or I'm traveling and the food quality isn't very good, how do I protect my body from these heavy metals and just these toxins overall? And my answer has always been and will probably continue to be charcoal. It's a very powerful detox agent. It's super common. As soon as you ingest charcoal, it goes through your entire digestive canal from your mouth through to your stomach, your small intestine, through to your large intestine. And then anything that it picks up on the way, like a little magnet through your body, is released through your poo. It doesn't irritate or harm the mucous membranes of the gastrointestinal system, which is really important. And our body system stays safe and unharmed as this dynamic detoxifier does all the work. You may be familiar with taking charcoal supplements. I always keep a couple of capsules in my purse. If I accidentally eat gluten, I take charcoal immediately and the belly pain and bloat goes down. But if you just want to incorporate charcoal into your daily life, or perhaps there are a couple of days where you're just in need of a detox and you want something super simple, I just found the mushroom lemonade with charcoal and chaga from Four Sigmatic. It's a powder that's an all-in-one support for digestion, skin well-being, and detoxification. It's jet black and combines the antioxidant properties of chaga, which is a mushroom, with activated charcoal for digestive support and lemon to assist hydration and skin well-being to help you glow from the inside out. Now, it is sweetened with monk fruit, so what I like to do is add a bunch of water to my Yeti water bottle, add ice on top of that, and then add 2 tablespoons to a quarter cup of lemon juice, and then 2 teaspoons of the mushroom lemonade and with charcoal and chaga powder. Shake it up and drink it throughout the day. Be mindful, though, that because charcoal is such a powerful detoxifier, you don't want to eat with this because anything you eat will not get assimilated properly. So I like to drink this in between my meals, sometimes when I'm fasting, but never with a meal. The taste is great, and I've definitely noticed a change in my skin. Now, you can use the coupon code KETO, all in caps, no spaces, for 15% off this and all other Four Sigmatic products by going to foursigmatic.com/keto. Again, that's coupon code KETO for 15% off to get your glow on. Okay, back to today's episode. We were chatting about this before we started recording of there are people that understand nutrition in their bodies, and then there are people that don't. But some of these people make it sound like they do, and then they share certain aspects that perhaps maybe they shouldn't. And then people follow what they're saying and it's actually quite dangerous. Have you seen that in the keto space? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, yes. I see it all the time, unfortunately. And a lot of this will come from personal experience, or they think something works for a while, or, they read something in a book and they're like, oh my God, this is the key to everything. And the problem with that is nutrition is so individual to every single person. What works for me is not going to work for you and is not going to work for Joe Blow on the side of the road. We all have this bio-individuality that is so important and unique to every single person. And so while there may be some general guidelines that kind of work for everybody, at the end of the day, you have to really kind of look inside, experiment with your own body, see what works and see what doesn't. And not only that, but what might work for a little while may not work a year from now, as you're chasing that optimal wellness in your life. And so I think it's just so important to be careful about kind of these influencers and nutritional gurus. Just kind of look into them, see where they're getting their information from. Do your own research as well, kind of cross-check information, and it'll serve you.
Yeah, that's really good feedback. I always say, like, my rule in life, not just with food, but like with everything. If somebody tells me that they have the secret, and like, if I just spend X amount of dollars or I do X amount of things, that my life will be better for it, I'm like, okay, peace out. I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. You can't be a part of my life. Like, you do not have the answer, because every single person is so, like you said, so individual, not even when it comes to our bodies, but our lifestyles, and what you see somebody doing on social media might not work for your life or your body or your kids or whatever. So yeah, I think that's been my rule of thumb for a couple of years, and it's never done me wrong. Like, somebody's like, just follow these 5 steps and you'll have the best life ever. It's like, oh, I don't. So, and there's so much of that right now.
There's so much of it. And one of the things that I had learned, even through just taking some interesting webinars and seminars about Instagram and social media marketing and these different things, is that if someone's not giving information out for free, run far, far, far away from them. And that's one of the ways you can tell if someone's legit, is if 90 to 95% of their material is free, you're good. But yeah, it's a scary place.
I had never heard of that statistic. I feel like I create a lot of free stuff, so I think I'm good there.
Yes, 100%. Yes. You do so much for the community between YouTube and the podcast and your website and just all of the material that you put out there. It's really valuable.
Oh, thanks. I'm exhausted. What's like the craziest thing you've seen in the keto space of people recommending stuff where you're like, oh dear, I don't think that's going to work for me? Like, are there a couple highlights of like things you wish nobody would see, or that you just think that maybe like your body would definitely not react well to it?
Yeah. Any processed keto treat with any kind of corn, wheat, or sugar. There are so many keto junk foods out there that include corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, and wheat products.
Yeah, I don't get that.
That's a big one. I don't get it either. And then it still spikes your blood sugar. You still have an insulin response, and it's just not good for you. When you wake up swollen from one of those keto treats, you're having a response. So that's kind of my biggest bane, is these non-real food-like items.
I hope you're totally digging this episode. I love putting these together every week, and I hope you're getting something out of it. I love seeing where you're listening from. So next time you're listening, or even right now, take a picture of yourself watching the show or a screenshot of your favorite episode and tag me on Instagram at Healthful Pursuit. And if social isn't your thing, that's totally fine. Just jump on your favorite podcast player and leave a review for the show. Okay, back to the good stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I think you just like, even though I share specific products on the podcast and I love certain things like Four Sigmatic and Perfect Keto and all the things, you don't need these for success. And I think so many people get so wrapped up. I mean, I've been there with supplements. I only take 3 supplements now. Like I used to take 50, like 50 different supplements every day. And it's like, it's terrifying how quickly you can get into the zone of, you know, I was spending $400 a month on supplementation and it was racking up on my credit card and I wasn't totally thinking about it until I saw that my credit card had like $1,200 on it. And I was like, how am I supposed to pay for this? Like, what am I doing? And then looking through supplement, like, oh my gosh. And I think we lose sight because we hear, oh, you know, MCT oil powder does this and this. I need that. And I think we need to like step back. I agree with you. And like, there's nothing wrong with just eating coconut oil. I choose to use MCT oil powder because it's like really convenient. But if I can choose between coconut oil and MCT oil powder and it fits, 100% I'm going to use the coconut oil.
Absolutely. And that's always been my thing is just eat real food. You can achieve everything you want just by eating real food. And if you have, you know, some people do have some real vitamin and mineral deficiencies that do need to be addressed with supplementation. Absolutely. But the majority of people really at the end of the day, all they need to do is just eat real food and they'll get everything they need. And a lot of times people take these supplements and they aren't even actually absorbing the supplement because it's either synthetic or their digestive system isn't in a place where it can digest and absorb those vitamins.
Yeah, so you're spending $400 and maybe getting 5 cents from it every month.
Yes, exactly.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because the body that I had, you know, 5 years ago when I started keto is very different than the body I have now. And for a long time, I did require, you know, B12 shots and vitamin A shots and vitamin D supplementation. And now I don't require those things because I accomplished my goal of healing my body. And I noticed that a lot on my last book tour back in, I don't even know, 2018, sometime this year, it all just blends together. There was this theme of like, I've been doing keto for 8 months, 12 months, 3 years, and it's just not working anymore. And, you know, I'd ask them like, how are you approaching things? They're like, well, I just went back to basics and I went back to the way that I did it at the very beginning and it's just not working. I'm like, well, yeah, because you have a completely different body than you did when you started. And that's a good thing. Like, this is a good thing. So we just need to adjust it. But I think another piece of this conversation is the problem maybe of the 1, 2, 3 and done of like, if you just follow these 5 steps, you'll be great. And if you aren't great, we'll go back to the 5 steps and do them harder. Do you see that a lot happening in keto?
100%. And it's funny how certain kind of issues become kind of popular at certain times. And I've seen these cycles happen as long as I've been doing this. So all of a sudden there will be this intense, you know, someone will say something about adrenals. And then everybody, oh my God, I have an adrenal problem. Or someone will say something about thyroid and everybody will be like, oh my gosh, I have a thyroid problem. I have to do X, Y, Z and that'll fix it. Not exactly. A lot of these issues actually start higher up in the body and trickle down. But yeah, there's a mob mentality, I guess, in the space. And it's a little frustrating to see just because, yeah, just do your thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a little bit off track there, but yeah, a little bit of a brain fart there.
You know what? It's funny. Every single guest that I've chatted with in this recording run has had that. I don't know if it's like the time of year, but I've been recording the podcast and doing these sorts of things for like 8 years. And I don't know what it is about this month or like questions I ask or like conversations we're having, but it's like everyone's like goes off on this tangent, then forgets what they're saying. And it's like, it's happened every time. I don't know. There must be something in the air this week that's like some energy field because you're not the first person. And I did that on an interview yesterday. This is a common thing that is happening.
I'm glad to hear that.
Back to today's episode in a sec. I've been a Fabletics VIP since September 2018 and just saved oodles of money on a pair of Pamela shorts, a Hudson seamless bralette, and my new favorite running around town pants, my Kerrigan joggers. If you haven't heard of Fabletics yet, let me give you the Coles Notes version. It's a website with a lot of workout wear for physical activities from the gym and beyond, and the prices are super fair, meaning if what's stopping you from getting out and moving your body is a fresh set of leggings, you can get the leggings and get out there. Fabletics is offering listeners of the podcast an incredible deal you won't want to miss. Get 2 leggings for only $24. This is a $99 value when you sign up as a VIP. Just go to fabletics.com/keto to take advantage of this deal now. You'll also receive free shipping on orders over $49, and international shipping is available too. Again, that's fabletics.com/keto. Unsure of the link? Simply check out today's show notes for all the details. Okay, back to today's episode.
So what's the role of social media in all of this? Because, I can chat with people that say social media is the best thing ever because it's connected them to, Facebook groups that didn't exist before and, communities and they're feeling support. But in my work and in the space I'm at right now in my life, social media, I can't, I do it because I know I need to and I enjoy sharing and connecting. But there's this huge portion of me that's I wouldn't be sad if there just wasn't an Instagram anymore because you're comparing yourself to people's highlight reels constantly day in and day out, and you can't help but be sucked in. So how do you feel about social media and the role it's playing in the keto space right now?
Yeah, social media is such a double-edged sword. And I go through my phases with it. There are times where I kind of ghost it and I stop posting and I set my phone aside for a month or two because I just feel overwhelmed. And I've put a lot of systems in place for myself when I feel overwhelmed with social media because it can trigger depression and anxiety and all these different things for me. And so I do my best to really protect my own self in that. But it's an incredible tool in different ways. And it's something you can either use in an incredible way to really bring positivity to your life, or it can bring a lot of negativity as well. And I see both ends of it. There's a lot of people who use social media to be super positive. There's an entire keto group out there who does regular, compliment trains where we lift other women up and empower people and, just say how proud we are of these people that we see killing it every single day and sharing recipes and ideas and this real community, building meetups is one of the coolest things I've ever done. We held a meetup in the Salem, Oregon area with a couple of other people. Tracy, shout out to you for helping me set that up. And it was incredible. And I it was so gratifying and heartwarming to be in a room with all of these like-minded people who I see on social media every day. That is the coolest thing from social media. But then there are the kind of, people who get really popular, and sometimes I don't understand why. I think part of that's polarizing personalities. There's something to a shock value on social media and people are drawn to that. But with that comes some negativity, and so it's just, I think it's all a balance. I see a lot of both in the space, but I seem to see this intense push from some of those in the keto space to just pure positivity. Let's build each other up. Let's recognize that people do keto differently and it's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to believe in different things when you're doing it and you're seeing results at the end of the day. And I think that's what it really comes down to is who's seeing results and who's not.
Yeah, I think it's really great because back in 2015, when I started sharing the fact that I was pretty sure keto was different for different people, oh man, there weren't a lot of us saying that at all. And I felt like such an idiot. And I was putting my neck out, and a lot of people were saying like, you're wrong. There's only one way to do keto. And so it's so great that people out there on social media and otherwise on blogs and podcasts are finally starting to like say, wait a minute, I think keto is different. And it can mean different things to different people. And I had this realization a little while ago when I was recording one of our mini-sodes for the podcast of there are all these ways to be glucose fueled and all these different diets to be glucose fueled, which is a metabolic state. And then on the other flip side, you have a metabolic state of ketosis and being fat fueled. So you have to understand that there have to be thousands of ways to do this, just like there's thousands of ways to do glucose fueling. So I think it's really great that it's changing. And I agree with you. I think social media can be such a beautiful thing, but it can also be an ugly thing. And I definitely see both. But my heart really warms when I'm at a book signing event and somebody says something and then another person in the room says, you're that person on Instagram? And then they run over and they give each other a hug. And then they're like, oh my God, me too. And then there's like this bubble of 8 women hugging and crying because they've been following each other on Instagram for years. And one inspired the other one. And it's so beautiful to see these connections that wouldn't exist. And they didn't even know they were in the same city. So I've heard of people becoming best friends, starting businesses together, going on cruises together after. So it's a beautiful thing that can occur. But I think so many of us just go on there to like numb out, and I think that's where some issues can pop up. What's the coolest thing that you've gotten from keto that you didn't expect would occur?
Yeah, there's well, one, I found my passion for nutrition.
Cool.
I admit 5 years ago, both looking at myself and knowing the headspace I was in, I would have never imagined I would be here today. You know, things like talking to you is incredible, and these awesome things come from it. But honestly, I think the coolest thing that kind of in my daily life that I see is my family. A lot of my family has switched to doing a ketogenic diet or even just eating more real food or starting to kind of recognize their own health issues and how to advocate for themselves to really get what they need. And that has been incredible to watch. My stepdad was on like 13 different daily medications, and he and my mom recently went keto, and he's off of like all of his medications. Seeing my mom, who is an incredible woman and who has struggled with sugar for so long, she recently started keto and is doing amazing. And having other family members during gatherings come up to me and just say, hey, I saw you on Instagram, or I saw this post that you did, and it just really spoke to me and made me want to change. Like, to me, that's what it's all about, is people living their best life and going after it. And that's what I want to help people do, is find their vitality. It's really hard for me personally, and this is something I trip over a lot, about time. And I've never felt like I have enough time on this earth. And we as humans are living more unhealthy years on this earth than we ever have before. And I don't want to hit 50 years old, go to the doctor, and then all of a sudden have 18 different health issues and be on 20 different medications for the rest of my life and just progressively get worse. I refuse to let that happen. And I want everybody to experience that. I want everybody to just live as long and healthy as possible, feeling amazing, because they can. It's possible.
Yeah, it totally is. And I feel you on the whole I don't have enough time thing. I know I really felt that, especially when I was studying nutrition, of like, I have so much to share. There's not enough time in my life to accomplish all the things that I need to do. Teaser, after 10 years of doing this work, you'll get into a groove and you'll be like, okay, this is good. I like this flow. So something to look forward to later. And what do you think is missing in the keto space right now, specifically for women?
I think there are Some voices from women who are not usually heard missing from the space. We need more diversity in the keto space. We need people from economically disadvantaged areas speaking out. We need people who live in food deserts speaking out. We need people who live in systematically oppressed places speaking out into their communities. And there's a lot of diversity missing in our community. You know, my needs are different than everybody else's needs, but specifically, I feel like women of color need something different. And it, as well as a culture thing, there's so many different cultures out there that I can't speak to, and we need those voices in our community.
Yes. And if one of those voices is listening right now and you want to be on the podcast, you just send us a message. I totally agree with you. And I'm happy that you brought that up. You're the first guest to bring that up. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people find more from you?
Yeah. So feel free to find me on Instagram. I am at Real Food with Jess.
That's awesome. Yeah. Share your story, girl. I like it. Well, thanks again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And we'll include all the links and everything you just shared over on the podcast extras, which everyone could get at healthfulpursuit.com/podcast/E115. And thanks again, Jess.
Thank you, Leanne. I really had a lot of fun and I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Keto Diet Podcast. Join us again in a couple of days to discover more keto for women secrets for your fat-fueled life. The Keto Diet Podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Keto Diet Podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representations or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified physician for medical advice and always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.